This is the Orange Trail. It can be accessed a couple different ways. We will start on the eastern side of the Orange Trail and head around toward the west. If we wanted to, we could head in the opposite direction and complete the same path. You can also access the Orange Path on the opposite side of the Yellow Summit Trail. The Orange Trail is also known as the Hogback Trail. This is by far the most deserted path at the Tourne. If you ever want to be alone, this is the place to be. It is also the most rugged path. Not so much now, but eventually we'll get to a portion where there actually is a pretty decent drop off on the right and the path becomes very narrow and rocky. It goes on the outside of the yellow path, and then it will also cross over and go on the inside of the yellow path. The way I would describe the orange and yellow trails would be kind of like a Venn diagram, with both intersecting at different points. In all my time of traveling on this trail, I think I've only run into 2 people, 2 non-bikers, I should say. There have been hardcore bikers who go through here that I've run into before. Once again, it is another really cold March day. We are more than halfway through March, and yet we're still getting temperatures well below freezing at night. But lower temperatures mean no bears. As my YouTube channel is called New Jersey Hiking, New Jersey hiking to me is being able to hike in the middle of the woods for a couple hours, then drive 10 or 15 minutes home to get back to the city. We'll be traveling on the outside of the Yellow Summit Path for the first half of the trip, and then the second half we'll be traveling on the inside. As you're walking around the Yellow Summit Path, you'll notice pretty big boulders right next to you, on the right or the left, depending on where you're walking, what direction, what perspective you're looking from. The Orange Trail allows you to walk right next to and onto these boulders, which is pretty cool. But as you can see, it's getting far more rugged. If you're walking along now with no snow, this may not appear quite as rugged, but with snow, with ice, it's actually moderately intensive. We had a ridiculously cold winter, but one nice thing about having a really bad winter is that when it's 30 or 35 degrees in March, it doesn't seem quite as bad, because at least it's not 0 degrees. You may notice in some of my videos it's not stunningly amazing movie quality 4K footage that brings a tear to your eye, but while I do record in 4K, the laptop that I use to edit and process a lot of my videos is a lot older. It's almost 7 years old. Depending on how this YouTube channel goes and whether I have the time to keep doing this, if I think it could be successful, then maybe in a year or so I'll invest in a new laptop. So a lot of my videos are more about commentary and showing you the trails themselves. So that's the first half of the Orange Trail, and we will now continue the second half of this path on the inside of the Yellow Summit Path that we just crossed over. Now, just as a point of reference, and just to let you guys know, there is one point in the trail where you may be tempted to go forward off the path, but there's actually a sharp right and then a sharp left, and you have to do this to stay on the path. So once you cross over and go on the inside of the yellow trail, go about 1 or 2/10 of a mile, then you take a sharp right, and then here a sharp left. And then the rest of the path is pretty self-explanatory. Well, I previously stated that Elephant Rock was probably the largest freestanding boulder here, but this one actually looks pretty big too. It's not as long, but it looks like it's taller. I don't know, maybe they should call this rock Dinosaur Rock. This is massive. In fact, this almost looks like a hippo. They should call this Hippo Rock. Elephant Rock on one side of the Tourne and Hippo Rock on this side. See, if I was an official explorer, I'd be famous for coming up with that. In most of my videos, I will give an estimation of how long the path or trail is that we're traveling on. But the most accurate estimation is going to be in the description of the video that I post on YouTube. So I would look there and rely on that the most. Or you can just look at a map of Tourne County Park, which I provide a link to on my YouTube channel. And if you like hiking around this area, you should check out mountainlakes.gov. The website itself is kind of old. You can tell it was developed a while ago, but the information they have on there is phenomenal. You can actually go on their website and find images of different addresses along the boulevard, the main boulevard that goes through Mountain Lakes, and other roads, and see what the house looked like 100 years ago as opposed to what it looks like now. It's very fascinating. They also do a lot of interviews of people from this area that lived here a long, long time ago. That's how I found out a lot of the information about the cabins in Rattlesnake Meadow, the chimney that I showed you guys. And the amount of interviews and the amount of content that they have and all the photos they have is just a phenomenal job done by the Mountain Lakes Historical Society. I don't know if it's officially called the Mountain Lakes Historical Society, but whoever in Mountain Lakes is responsible for putting the history of this place together. I don't know if it's the town council or a separate branch of the government of Mountain Lakes, or maybe just volunteers. Whoever did it and whoever's responsible did a phenomenal job of compiling just the massive amount of information that they have about this place. And this is the conclusion of the Orange Trail, also known as the Hogback Trail.